What's up, everybody? Welcome to iOS 3 Raw TV. We got another episode of Getting to Know Jerry, and this one is like a video that a lot of people probably wouldn't make. I put out the video about the first episode of Getting to Know Me, which explains why I was very aggressive and stuff like that. And I got a text message from my mom, and it was her pretty much freaking out, like really freaking out about how I shouldn't be talking like this in the public. She then went on to tell me all the bad, well, not all the bad things, but a list of bad things that I did and what a bad kid I was, and basically just tried to shame me for putting it out, which not really the response I would have expected from my mom, to be honest with you. After the molestation thing, when I talked to her about it in 2009, I thought we were on a level that we could actually talk about these things and stuff like that. But, you know, it seemed to really upset her, and that wasn't the goal. Like, the goal is not to upset people. It's not to make my family look bad. It's not to make anyone feel sorry for me. The problem is, as soon as I speak up about things, the overwhelming response from people that contact me, it's incredible. Like, I can't tell you the hundreds and hundreds of emails that come in as soon as I speak up about something that's happened to me. And the whole goal is to show people that, like, the whole point of that video was to show that, you know, because of things that happened to you as a kid, sometimes as an adult, those things shape who you are and make you do certain actions and stuff until you realize that you don't want to be that and you can change that, right? So I was trying to be as big as I could, and I was fighting all the time, and now at 43 I realized I'm not that little kid anymore. I don't need to be like that. That was the whole point of the video. But of course that was lost because my mom is just definitely a very emotional person. I mean, go figure, it's kind of like me, right? But I wasn't expecting to get tuned up about all the bad things that I did. I expected it to be like, holy shit, like I didn't realize, you know? Because, I mean, before I went to therapy, I mean, like my counselors, my shrinks, etc., were the ones that pulled that stuff out of me and explained it to me, right? Because I thought it was normal. I thought it was natural. I thought, you know, everybody gets beaten like that at home, and maybe they did. I don't know back then, but, and everybody gets beaten at school, and, you know, like, I thought that it was just normal until trained professionals, right, told me that it's not okay, and it's not normal, and it's not okay, you know, which is frustrating because if I had a problem, my mom would tell me to, you know, well, if you can't sort it out, you know, you should see somebody for it, see a professional. But then I go to a professional, the professional tells me something that she doesn't like, and then she gets mad, you know, and I'm just like, so I think a lot of people wouldn't even make the video I'm making right now because they would be like, well, I hurt my mom, but it's not about hurting my mom. It's not about putting out things like, it's about putting out the truth. It's about helping people. It's about my life. Like, I live this life. I paid these prices with my life, and it is my story, my journey to put out there that helps people. It's not about making someone look bad, you know? It's just not. And I think that, honestly, I think my mom's reaction, I don't think she had any clue still to this day that that's not the right way to handle things, right? It's just not, you know? And the point of this video is to try to hammer home how much impact these beatings had on me as a kid. And I don't think that parents back then even realized it. I think that, you know, some kids maybe could have dealt with it. I was a very emotional little kid. I was a very quiet little kid. I was a very timid little kid. So maybe I dealt with it, and I you know, I perceive things as scarier than maybe another person would or an adult would at that time, you know, but I was a little kid. And the truth of the matter is, and Aaron and I have, you know, I've talked about this with Aaron because I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. And, you know, in therapy and stuff, it was, they were trying to figure it out. And it's this reoccurring dream that I've had of my dad, and I'm 43 and I still have it. And it's the same dream, it's reoccurring. It is not something that your brain makes up. You don't have the same dream over and over and over again by magically just making shit up. You know, like, your brain has had some kind of trauma that locks that into place. And I can't pinpoint the exact day, the exact time. I don't fucking know. But in this dream, my dad is very young still. He has the black beard, the feathered hair. He's at his most, you know, strongest, most manly before he was injured, you know. And in the dream, I'm just trying to get away from him. Like, the whole dream is about me getting away from him and my mom trying to keep him away from me, That's what the whole dream is about. And it's literally, I wake up sweating. At 43 years old, I wake up sweating, going, what the fuck? And when I was talking to counselors and stuff like that, they actually said there's something locked in your brain that is replaying over and over again because you haven't dealt with it. And it's reoccurring because your subconscious, when your sleep takes over, and that shows you what is going on in your brain in the background. And, you know, I said to my counselors, I said, you know, do you think I made it up because I was on drugs? And they're like, look, you know, this happened when you were a kid. Like, if something had happened, if you were like 22 years old, 23 years old in this dream, and it didn't make any sense, we might say, okay, it was fabricated, but it wouldn't be a reoccurring dream. It wouldn't be from when you were a kid, because your memory from when you were a kid is totally intact. But like that period when you were on drugs, you have memory problems. And it's something that, you know, they were trying to figure it out. Like it was, you know, not very clear at the time, because the beatings and stuff like that, I didn't think were that big of a deal. You know, like I always say that, you know, I'll be honest with you, I think the beatings actually kept me in line. You know, I mean, they didn't really work. I mean, because I still got in trouble. But that's the thing, is when something doesn't work, why do you continue to do it? And that's what my parents did. That's all they knew what to do. Like, they didn't have any money to bring me to a shrink or something like that, right? We didn't have insurance growing up most of the time. So what is this dream about? And this dream about, honestly, was about me trying to get away from my dad. I was so scared of my dad as a kid. Not only did I look up to him like he was a hero, and I loved him, and I wanted to be like him, like I wanted to have hair like him, you know, and I wanted to, you know, I always wanted to have a Texas accent too, because my dad had a Texas accent. You know, I always wanted to be from Texas. Like when I was a little kid, I would say I was born in Texas and I moved to Rhode Island. I would say that shit when I was a kid to people at school or whatever. I wanted to be like my dad so much, but I really, really feared him. And my dad, I mean, it's just, I remember very vividly, those spankings were hard and they hurt. They hurt bad. And I remember being picked up by the arm off the ground when I tried to get away, because you're going to hit me. I'm a little kid and you're going to hit me, and you're mad at me and you're enraged and your eyes are bloodshot and you're steaming, steam's coming out of your ears, and you're coming after me to grab me for something that I didn't even understand what the fuck I did that was wrong. And picked me up off the ground by my one arm. And this was like, when I tried to get away, he would grab me, hold me, and so my feet couldn't run away, pick me up off the ground and slap me 2 or 3 times off the ground, where my feet would flail out from underneath me, then drop me on the floor and tell me stuff like, if you run, you're going to get it twice as bad. That's what I was told. And it's because that's how they were raised. It's because that's how my parents were raised. So they think it's okay. They didn't know what else to do. But I do know that for a fact, nowadays, if someone in my family had picked a kid up and hit them like that in front of my mom would lose her shit. She would not think that's okay. She would not be like, oh, that's just training them, it's teaching them. She would not be okay with it. And by that fact that she would not do the same thing today that was done back then, shows that people have evolved, people have learned, and they understand that that's not right. That is not right to do. So from these beatings being lifted off, and I don't think people, you know, let's break this down for a minute, because, you know, I'm very upset for the fact that, like, I think my family would rather just have me shut up and leave it in the past than put out the pain. These videos are actually helping me purge some of the shit that has gone in my life, that even therapists were like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean? Like, I just thought everything was normal. When you're a little kid, think about when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you're little, and you have a 6'2" person picking you up off the ground and hitting you. I mean, hitting you off the ground to where you're like, I mean, it's not like a little spanking. It was fucking, and yes, they could have hit me harder, right? But what the fuck, would you want to cripple me? Like, why the fuck would you do that? But as a little kid being picked up off the ground by your arm and then feeling the pain of being smacked, and maybe it was 2 or 3 smacks, but you don't know what the fuck is coming. You don't know if this time it's going to be fucking 10. You don't know if this time you're going to fucking be really hurt. You don't know. You just know the pain. You know the fear of being picked up off your feet off the ground and hit. And that is the cause of this goddamn fucking dream. I was so scared of my dad that when he got mad, I would lose my shit. And maybe I didn't express that to my parents, but maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know. I was a kid. I was a little kid. And I'm not going to take responsibility for being a little kid getting fucking beat up by his parents and be told that I'm a bad person because I put it out there for the public. Newsflash, most of the kids when I was a kid got fucking beatings. And I don't give a fuck whether it was me or anyone else. It's not right. It's not right. Did it keep me in line? It worked to a certain point, but it still didn't work. Look at all the fucking trouble I get in. Look at all the shit that I did despite the fucking beatings. The beatings did not work. You know, my brother, the same thing. They fucking beat on him. My mother broke a fucking stick across my brother's fucking back that they had bought in Cape Cod as a souvenir and had like the list of reasons why you're going to get your ass whipped with it. And it was like a spanking fucking paddle. And they would use that. You know, my mom would use that instead of her hand because she would hurt her hand. And I remember the time that she broke that on my brother, and she was like, well, shit, well, no, this is not going to work anymore. I mean, this is fucking real life. You know what I mean? And I don't care. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, at 43, I'm tired. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of keeping this quiet because you don't want to upset your family. You don't want to make your family look bad. Like, it's not about making people look bad. It's about my life. And the fact that people step up and are mad at me for talking about my life, rather than being concerned and saying, look, I didn't realize we fucked you up. I didn't realize this was so bad. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's fuck you. You were such a bad kid. You did this. You did that. You're such an asshole. I'm like, I didn't even say anything. I just said, you know, I'm not even going to argue. I'm not going to fight. Like, it's not about a fight. I just let it go. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I hope my mom will just sit back and think about things for a little bit and maybe see my point of view rather than what she recalls it and thinks that it's okay. But it's not okay. You know what I mean? It's not okay to hit kids like that. You know what I mean? It's not okay when you have this little timid kid who's getting in fights at school and I'm not doing well in school. I'm getting the shit beat out of me. You know what I mean? It's not okay. It's just not. You know, and I don't know. It's just not how I wanted to start off my day by getting those text messages bombarding me about how bad I am and how all the bad stuff I did. Like, yeah, no shit, I did bad stuff. Have I ever once said I didn't do bad stuff? Like, I was the biggest piece of shit on the planet before I got clean. I don't even remember half the shit that happened, but I do know that I was the biggest piece of shit that fucking didn't deserve to have a family. I didn't deserve to have friends. I didn't deserve to have family. I didn't deserve to have any of that shit. Every decision that I made when I was on drugs was based on drugs and not the people around me. And I didn't care about the people around me. I didn't care who it affected. I didn't care what the outcome was as long as I had my drugs and I could get high and not fucking be sick. Like, that's the bottom line. And the difference between me and I think a lot of other people is like, I'm willing to own up to all the shit that I did and fucking say, look, you know, there were people that my friends, my close friends like Henry, Trisha, you know, my cousin Trisha, my close friends, Christina, that really were around me when I was addicted to drugs, Donnie Souza. And when I got clean, it took years. Even my ex-girlfriend, Kat, when I got clean, it took years. I went to each one of them and I said, hey, here's the deal. Like, I don't remember much about what happened during these times. But if I did or said anything that hurt you or offended you, I'm sorry because I love you. I said it to all three of them, or all of them, was more than three of them. And all of them said the same thing. They said, you know what, we knew you were pretty fucked up. We didn't know the extent of it. And you said this or you said that or you did this or you did that. And we just chalked it up to that's not the Jerry that I know. And, you know, that's part of it is taking responsibility. I do feel like if you have done something that hurts someone else, you need to take responsibility for it. And this video is partially for that too. Like, I don't want my mom to be hurting. I don't want her to be upset. I don't want people to think she was a bad mom. I don't want people to think my dad was a bad dad. I don't want them to think I had a bad family. You know, this was the way that they were raised and their parents raised them and they continued. But we know now in 2018 that not only does this shit not work, but it can actually scar you to where you do things as an adult that you don't realize that the things that, you know, and I think, I'm honestly, parents now, they understand because there's a lot more understood about child psychology and stuff now. But when we were kids, they didn't understand the shit they did now. So they didn't think things affected kids very much. They really didn't. They were like, it's a fucking kid. Who cares? You know, like, they'll forget about it. They'll this, they'll that. Meanwhile, you're building these images, these ideas, these phobias, these anxieties, these fears in kids. And when they grow up, they're all fucked up and they go, I don't understand why you're so fucked up. It's like, what? Like, what the fuck? And I know that going to the counselors, I mean, a lot of people don't like it, and I don't like it either because they force you to face things that you don't want to face. Like, I want to sit there and be told that I didn't have a normal childhood. I thought it was normal. You know what I mean? I want to sit there and be told you are fucked up. You know what? Plain and simple, you are fucked up. I mean, they use different terms, but you're fucked up because stuff that happened to you as a kid. You know, like, when you add up beatings and stuff like that, molestation from my great uncle, right? And fucking drug abuse all around me, alcohol abuse all around me growing up. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what do you expect this kid to grow up like? You know what I mean? Like it took me actually having to get out of Warren and leaving it behind me to really sort things out. And, you know, the longer that I'm away, like the less family that I have. And it's 50% my fault. You know, it's 50-50. It's family's fault. It's my fault. I take 100% of the 100% of the 50% of the blame on myself for not keeping in contact with them better, you know? And I try to really realize, like, well, why don't I do that? Why don't I keep in contact with my family better? And I was like, well, you're not doing anything different than you did when you were home. When you lived there, you wouldn't talk to them for maybe 2-3 months at a time, but you had New Year's, you had Valentine's Day, which wasn't a big holiday, but whatever. But you had like Easter, you had 4th of July, you had Labor Day, which was Labor Day? Memorial Day, Labor Day, whatever, before that. You had like the end of the summer, you know, get-togethers and stuff, the barbecues that you'd have outside, and then you have, you know, you go back to school, and then you have Halloween, which we get to the whole family together on Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So even if I didn't talk to them for months at a time, there was going to be something coming up where I would be with my whole family again, like all of them, aunts, uncles, cousins, you know, parents, everybody would be together, grandparents, all of us would be together. And I think that's why we were so close, is because even if we didn't talk for like a month and a half because we were busy doing whatever, we would still be together at those holidays. And living down here, I'm not at home for the holidays, so they still can get together and do their things, which keeps them tight. And I'm here, and you know, I call home and I get the phone calls and stuff, but you start to be pushed to the back of the line, I guess, so to speak, because you're not there anymore. You know, my cousins have grown up to where if half of them stood next to me in the mall, I wouldn't even know it was them. You know, and you know, I have new little nieces and nephews, and you know, they barely know me, which again, it's partially my fault. You know, I'll take 100% blame for it. I don't put the time in that I should because I don't have that time, and I get it 100%. But you know, leaving family, friends, everything behind is what it took for me to get clarity in my head and really sit down and figure out the things that were holding me back from being happy and being myself and pursuing my dreams and doing better and not just wanting to stick a needle in my arm over and over again, you know? I mean, I don't think that my mom would for a second look at heroin and say, that's her fault. You know, like, that's my dad's fault. That's her fault. That's the family's fault. That's someone else's fault. It's my fault. I stuck the needle in my arm. But the events leading up to that needle being stuck in my arm were not of my doing. They weren't my fault. The things that would happen to me as a kid weren't my fault. I didn't do them. I wasn't responsible for that shit. You know, like, it's fucked up because you're responsible as an adult to not do that shit, like drugs. And here I am as an adult not doing it. Like, I pulled my shit together, got myself out of it, and stopped. Period. Done. But it would have been nice to have somebody go, listen, you know what? We know that the reason why you're doing this, the reason why you're acting, and nobody says I want to be a heroin addict, I want to be a junkie, I want to have a shitty life. We know that this is what happened as you were a kid, in your teens, whatever the case may be. And if there was something we could do to go back and fix it, we would. We're really sorry, but we're really happy that you have it fixed and that you're doing well. Like, that's the support system that I need. And I just honestly feel like maybe my family doesn't know me anymore. Actually, I know that they don't know me anymore. I know my friends back home, they don't know me anymore. You know, I think that they know like a hybrid. They know kind of what they see, you know, like online and stuff like that. But, you know, I talk to my mom at least once a week. Anytime she needs anything, I get it to her. You know, she needs a TV, she needs a computer, she needs money, whatever, I'll get it to her. Like, I love my mom, obviously, but I'm not going to carry around the burden of things that were out of my control that have literally held me down my whole life, that I've gone through countless hours of intensive therapy to try to get my shit together so I don't want to stick a needle in my arm every day or stick the final needle in my arm, which I think a lot of people are missing that too. Like, I think my mom misses that too, that I was this close to suicide so many fucking times, and the dog saved me. The dog. The dog, and the fact that I didn't want her to find my body so that she would be fucked up for the rest of her life. That's the two reasons why I'm here today. And instead of looking at that and saying, holy shit, like, fuck, like, that's way before I moved down here. being like shit was that bad and I didn't realize it. Like, no, you didn't, you know? You're busy with your own life. You're busy with other shit that's going on, and you don't want to bother anybody. You know what I mean? Because the one thing you don't want to do when everything's going good with your family is be the one that throws the monkey wrench in there. And all of a sudden now you're the cause of pain, anxiety, aggravation, you know, whatever with your family. Like, my family has enough pain, enough anxiety, enough aggravation from everything that's going on around all the time. Why would I want to be cause of any more of that? So I bottled it up, you know, and I don't feel like it's fair to be penalized for it now, talking about it, because someone doesn't want to look bad. Look, I don't care how someone looks. I don't care how someone feels. This is what happened to me. This is what I've been carrying around. This is pain that I'm letting out, so that hopefully when this video comes, the other video came out, of course, people will contact me right away. When this video comes out, more people will step forward. More people will start to heal. Like, why did I go through all that shit in my whole life? Why did I go through so much pain? Why did I go through so much fear? Why did I go through so much anxiety? Why did I go through so much negativity in my entire life? If it was just to fucking push me down further and not be able to do anything positive with it. Like, me speaking out about this stuff now shows that, hey, listen, everybody's going to go through this shit, right? Or a lot of people are going to go through this shit. And it doesn't have to be your demise. It doesn't have to be what defines you. But a lot of people let it define them. And I did for a long time, and I'm no longer going to do that. I'm just not. I'm at the point now in my life where I'm 43. If people get offended, too fucking bad. If people get upset, too fucking bad. And that includes family at this point. You know, I'm really understanding that family is not about who your blood relatives are. Your blood relatives are your relatives. Family doesn't need to be a blood relative. There are people right now that are in my life that I consider family, that when I tell them this, they won't think my mom was a bad person, my dad was a bad person, I had a shitty upbringing. They'd look at me now and say, here's the deal. It's in the past. You've identified what it is. There's nothing you can do. So let's just try to heal from it and move forward. You know, use it as a lesson. What lessons did you learn from it? Like, somebody that actually like cares about me and not what they look like. I guess that's the biggest pain in the ass that's bothering me right now. And again, I'm not making this video to bash anybody. I'm telling you guys the real truth, because this day and age, everything is fake. People want to bottle stuff up, push it aside, act like it's not real, save face, tell you what great parents they are, what great brothers they are, what great fucking relatives they are, what great husbands they are, what great... But realistically, we know the truth, right? The truth is, people fuck up. People do bad shit. Not, life is not all fucking unicorns, rainbows, and fucking lollipops, right? But if you speak up about it, you're a bad person. But it's my life. It's my life. I lived it. It's not a movie. I'm not plagiarizing it from someone else's shit. It's my fucking life. So you're trying to tell me that I should not talk about my life and who I am and what made me who I am because someone else might look at the people in my life that were back then and say, wow, that was wrong that you did that to him. How about this? How about the reason why you're so upset is because you realize what I said is real and it makes you feel bad. That's how that works. If it wasn't true, if it wasn't recalled properly, if it wasn't the way that I say it is, there would be no reason to attack. There would be like, how do you understand? Tell me how this happened. Tell me this instance. Tell me that. Give me proof. Give me the actual things that bothered you. Let me hear them. No, but it's just like, you're this, you're that, you're mad, you're bad, you're this. I was like, fuck, I've had enough of this. So unfortunately, the purge, which actually I felt was helping me heal and helping other people on their road to healing, has now kind of put a fork in the road between me and the rest of my family, which I don't know how it plays out. I don't, and I don't think my family likes this whole thing. They're supportive of what I do unless I talk about the family. And then all of a sudden, I'm a fucking terrible person. I shouldn't be talking to fucking my quote unquote fans like they're my friends, when realistically I'm talking to my followers like they're just people that have gone through the same things, that can bond together through this and help each other through it. There's a big fucking difference. But like they say, if you're not guilty, then you don't have any issue with things. Usually if you feel angry, upset, or you feel like someone's pointing the finger at you, it's because you feel guilty about something that you heard, and it makes you realize, fuck, I was wrong, which, I don't know, whatever. So I don't know when this video is going to go up, but I'm not going to stop making the videos. No one will control my life. I don't care who it is. I don't care who gets upset about it. If they want to talk to me about it, they can talk to me like a human being, like an actual adult human being, rather than attacking me telling me how bad I am, what a bad son I am, what a bad relative I am, what a bad brother I am, what a bad whatever. If I'm that bad, you don't have to deal with me ever again. Just ignore me. I don't live there, so it's not a big deal. But honestly, when people lash out at you personally like that, in a personal attack, like they're trying to hurt you. They're trying to hurt you because they're hurt. And I understand that. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. But I am telling the fucking truth because you know what? I'm tired of bullshit. I'm tired. 43, I'm tired. And I don't have to live anyone else's life and live by anyone else's rules. If you don't like my rules, you don't have to be part of my life. It's just very simple like that. This life is something that I created out of necessity to get away from the life that I used to have. Let that shit sink in for a second. The fact that I had to get away from the life that I used to have. Why did I have to get away from it? If it was great and so fucking happy and rainbows and fucking Care Bears and shit, guess what? I wouldn't have had to get away from it. To fucking survive, I had to get away from the life that I was living before. Let that shit sink in for a minute. I'm Bios3 and I approve this message. And we're out.